show you how to make your own hoop from a live tree branch. I had hoped to do this video outside since getting to harvest a live tree branch happens outdoors, and I think we've all had enough of being indoors after the spring we've had. But it's quite windy today, so it's not good for shooting outdoor videos. So I went ahead and I harvested my branch. What you want in a branch is something that's not too thick. So the end of this is maybe ½ inch thick, and then it's really quite long all the way down to here. It's getting a lot skinnier. It's maybe 1/8 of an inch here, about 1/4 of an inch down here. That's a really good size as far as diameter, and it's something that's over 1 yard long, which is important because it seems long, but we're going to bend this around into a circle and overlap it some, and so that shortens it up super quick. So if you want a decent size hoop, make sure your branch is over 1 yard long. And then the other thing to look for is that it doesn't have too many offshoots, because everywhere that there's another branch coming off of it, it's not going to want to bend as well. So this one's pretty good. I only have this here and a couple of thinner ones up here that I can go ahead and work with. And the other thing is there is some slight curves to this. That's pretty normal for a tree branch, but it's not like super bent in any one direction. So try to get something where the curves are shallow and there's not a lot of extra branches coming off. In the past, my favorite thing to cut off and use for hoops are the suckers that grow out of the tree trunk. Like they're starting to form new branches. It normally, for landscaping purposes, you can keep those trimmed off, but if you let them grow a little bit, they make super good branches for cutting hoops. I'm going to use my pruning shears. I'm going to go ahead and clip off that one. I'm trying to get the longest single line that I can from this. And then when you start to get up here, these pop off pretty easy. And then if it's bright green, that's actually a part of the leaf or new growth. That's not going to make a good hoop, so only stick with the gray and the brown stuff. I don't know if you can see the length of that quite well. I'm ready to make a hoop out of that. And I am going to need a piece of cord, okay, a piece of twine. I don't recommend using something too skinny or too stretchy. Alright, so I like to start with the strong end, and I'm just taking my hands like this, and I'm using my thumb to test and see how strong it is and how much it's going to give when I bend it around into the loop. Alright, and this also helps it to start to think about bending. Of course, the thicker end isn't going to bend as much, and where it turns, it might bend the way it wants to go, but not so much the way you want it to go. So you're just kind of testing for the way that your tree branch wants to bend. Of course, as it gets out to the skinnier new growth, it's going to bend really nice. So starting down here, and there's a lot of times, by the way, that I'll do this. I'm trying to just work it into the direction I want it to go. See, it's a lot curvier than when I started. There's a lot of times you'll be working on this part and it'll break. You have to go get a new one. That's pretty typical. I'm concerned about that joint right there because it wants to bend opposite of the way I want it to bend. So I need to work on getting this piece bendy. All of this that I'm doing right now is going to help it when I put it around into a circle and try to get it to stay into a circle. The more you can do this, the better chance you have of this not breaking. So I feel pretty good about the first part. Not so sure how I feel about that part. It worked out pretty good. I think that's going to make a good hoop. See how I have overlap on both sides? Now I want to take that, and I'm, just like you would tie your shoestring, I'm wrapping it in and around, okay? And then need to hold it because it'll come undone still. And this is where having a helper might be handy. Go ahead and wrap your cord around that, and then we're going to tie it in a knot. Now some people can do just one piece of cord, and other people will use 2 or 3 in some different spots to help hold it in place. Okay. So that's going to hold it in place for me. Later, so some people might want to put another one over here just to help with the form. Later, when this stick dries, this won't be as necessary. So if you don't like how it looks, you could always cut it off in a couple weeks. But definitely give it a chance to dry. So it'll never be a perfect circle. I think this is probably pretty good. I'm just flexing it a little over here to see if I can change the shape of it at all. I am not really, I'm just pushing a little. Don't crush it, you'll break it, okay? So I'm tempted to want to wrap this piece down around again, but what it's going to do is change my circle up like that because this is stronger, and I don't want that. I don't want my circle changed at all. So what I think I'm going to do is I will probably put a second cord right here. I'm going to go ahead and use some of this extra that I have. If I can cut it off. And that part that's sticking out, I'm going to use my pruning shears to cut that off. Because I personally find it distracting. There we go. Make sure this knot is nice and tight. Okay, now all I have to do is clean up my mess. I have a hoop, and I can begin to weave.